Well, tonight, let's talk about the deep state rot and what they don't want you to hear. Donald Trump is once again shaking the very foundations of the globalist war machine. And today, Trump called for not just an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine, a conflict that, of course, has drained billions of dollars from United States taxpayers and cost hundreds of thousands of lives. But he also sent a clear message to Washington: stay out of Syria. So here was President Trump just a short time ago meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky. Now, this is the actual video, okay? Here's Zelensky, and there's Emmanuel Macron. Now watch Emmanuel Macron. He's like, I'm going to get in the middle of you guys here. I gotta step right in here for the photographic opportunity here. So that was the original photo. And then, of course, now, as a result of this meeting, there's been all sorts of memes that have exploded over. Look at this. This is one of my favorites here. Yes, climbing up on the little high chair, little tiny Zelensky there. Like, hi, little fella. Hi, you little dwarf.
I saw memes online that said Trump was going to demand that he wear a suit. Unfortunately, that didn't seem to be the case. I love that people are like, I'm for decorum.
There's a reason he can't wear a suit. He's in a war zone. I love that like people write that
Paris
on social media.
Paris is a war zone.
They're like, yeah, he's in a war zone. He can't wear a suit. Okay, really? But his wife can shop and spend like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, when does she have the time to put on stilettos? Here's
another meme as a result of this meeting. Here's another one. I just love all of these like little shrunken Zelensky memes. Mm-hmm. So funny. Anyway, here's the actual meeting face to face. They actually met. First up, Ukraine. Let's talk about this. Trump, where he met with Emmanuel Macron, Ukrainian dictator Zelensky. Zelensky asked him for more weapons, more money. This is after Speaker Johnson put an end to this last week. Trump said nope. Told Zelensky right to his tiny little rat face to end this war right now, a ceasefire. In fact, he said it's in. He told him in no uncertain terms, not a decade from now, not next year, but now, he told him straight to his face. He laid it out plainly. He said the Ukraine's ridiculous loss of 400,000 soldiers is a catastrophe, and dragging this war on any longer risks spiraling into something far worse. He told him right to his face. Put in place an immediate ceasefire. Immediately. There's no ambiguity there. This is the exact opposite, of course, what Antony Blinken, NATO, and President Biden, whatever's left of him, is pushing
Olaf
for
Scholz
in Ukraine.
And other, warmongers in Germany, especially, that loves the war.
No, they want to keep continuing this. So
Ursula von der Leyen, I could go on and on.
So why is this controversial? You'd be like, yeah, that's great. We all agree. Watch this show. We're an anti-war show. This is great. Trump's like rattling, I don't know, rearranging the deck chairs. I don't know what you want to say, but he's basically saying we're enough. We're done with this little charade. We're done, because the permanent Washington establishment wants the opposite of this. The defense contractors, the consultants, and yes, the politicians, they don't want peace. Full stop. They're making billions off of this every day. The war drags on. Another day, their profits continue to soar as a result of it. Then there's NATO. So during this interview on Meet the Press just yesterday, Trump admitted he's thinking of pulling the United States out of NATO. Another big middle finger to this globalist cabal, or at very least, NATO countries will have to pay their fair share instead of using footing the bill for everything. Watch.
NATO's taken advantage of us because we were look, two things. Number one, they take advantage of us on trade, meaning the European nations, okay, like terrible. They don't take our cars, they don't take our food products, they don't take anything. It's a disgrace. And on top of that, we defend them. So it's a double whammy. So let me just tell you, I was able to get hundreds of billions of dollars put into NATO just by a tough attitude. I said to the countries, I'm not going to protect you unless you pay. And they started paying. And that amounted to more than $600 billion. That's a big thing. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be fighting. They wouldn't have any money to fight. If they're paying their bills, and if I think they're treating us fairly, the answer is absolutely, I'd stay with NATO.
And so
they're crapheads. I agree. Let's ditch them.
So get out of it. I mean, as Colonel Douglas McGregor has said on our show, I mean, it's dead. It was never a defensive organization anyway. It's become, right from its outset, really, it was an offensive organization masquerading as a defensive organization. And Zelensky, though, had this to say when pressed about, hey, being invited into NATO, because you heard last week, Western leaders saying, and the head of NATO, Mark Rutte, saying that, yeah, we will bring, Antony Blinken saying we will bring Zelensky and Ukraine into NATO. That's on the path. Trump doesn't want that at all. And Zelensky had this to say about being invited into NATO. He said, you can't talk to Trump about it because he's not the president of the United States yet. So I'm not going to talk to him about it. I'm going to talk to Biden and see if basically he can squeeze us into NATO before the end of the year, before he's out of office. Listen.
Що стосується, наприклад, запрошення в НАТО, то тут складно сьогодні говорити з президентом Трампом, бо він ще не в Білому домі. У нього немає всіх цих юридичних прав. І я збираюсь, до речі, подзвонити найближчим часом президенту Байдену, якщо у нього буде така можливість поговорити зі мною і підняти саме питання щодо запрошення в НАТО, бо він зараз є діючим президентом Сполучених Штатів. І від його позиції багато чого залежить. І немає сенсу обговорювати з президентом Трампом те, що сьогодні ще поки він не в Білому домі, від нього не залежить.
So it doesn't depend on him. He's not in the White House yet.
He says that when he's out of the room.
Right.
Not to his face.
Would he say that right to his face? I mean, look, and a lot of Democrats say, the reports in Washington, that Democrats are pissed that basically the Biden administration is sort of kowtowing to Trump's foreign policy right now. They're sort of being quiet, and they're on the world stage. You're seeing President Trump. He's not president yet. He's president-elect. He's in France. On the global stage, having meetings about NATO, having meetings with Zelensky, having meetings with Macron.
Well, that happens, Democrats, when you kick your own president out. When you coup him, he's not going to do what you want.
Yeah.
That's so funny, right, how that works when you stab somebody in the back and then they don't do what you want.
Yeah,
that's so confusing. That's confusing to you? It's not very confusing to me. I got it. But okay.
But see, the deep state is still operating. So it really doesn't, you can say all that in public, but what's happening behind the scenes is an undermining process, which is happening. And you saw President Biden come out in front of the camera the other day to praise the collapse of the Assad government in Syria. So, of course, President Bashar al-Assad is now in Moscow. He's been given amnesty there and is being protected in Moscow. He left around midnight as the collapse of the Syrian government was unfolding. And President Biden and the Washington Democrats and, of course, the warmongers are very excited now that al-Qaeda is running Syria. But they won't call him al-Qaeda. They'll call him like sort of their revised version of it, right? The normalizing of al-Qaeda in Syria is remarkable. And again, we're going to speak with Kevork Almassian here in a minute about the fall of that and collapse of that government. So you think Washington would see this as a chance to like stand down? Like, all right, why would we get ourselves involved in Syria right now? Let's step out. Let's get away from there. But no, they're ramping up rhetoric, more intervention. Biden, talking about additional weapons and support into Syria. Trump today said flat out, no. He understands what the deep state refuses to. Endless wars doesn't make America safer. He wants us to get out of Syria, which is something that Congressman Matt Gaetz, of course, called upon in Congress to end our involvement in Syria, and the warmongers in Congress voted against it. President Trump supports this position, get out of Syria. There's no reason for us to stand there and be in the middle of a fight. And he said this about the warmongers who want to keep us in these perpetual wars.
Just as importantly, bringing back impoundment will give us a crucial tool with which to obliterate the deep state, drain the swamp, and starve the warmongers, these people that want wars all over the place, killing. They love killing. And the globalists out of our government. We're going to get the warmongers and the globalists out of our government.
Yeah, hallelujah.
They love killing. I don't.
Killing. They love killing.
I did miss his rhetoric a little bit. That's a lot more fun than what we get out of the Biden administration.
So, again, they want to be, the CIA actively wants to be helping Israel take over Syria, destroy that country, reposition their Israel, of course, is already invaded in southern Syria, and of course, Turkey in the north. In the CIA helping to facilitate all of this, and they're sort of rebranding basically the new leader of whatever is left of Syria, even though he's Al-Qaeda. He's beheaded people on camera before. Like, he's our guy. Of course, the neocons are like, yeah, this guy, he was a bad guy. Now he's our guy,
No, we were primed for this during the Obama administration. We were simultaneously fighting al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and arming them under the name al-Nusra in Syria. And Obama went on camera and called them moderates, like right. Diet Coke, like just extremist light. And that was okay. No, They're the same. They've always been the same. If we didn't know that, it's because we believed it under the cool facade of Barack Obama. But we've been heading this way for decades, in fact, since the 60s. And again, I want to refer you to Stephen Gowen's great book, Washington's Long War on Syria. The reason we wanted them so badly is because they wanted to oust American interest. And they're Arab nationalists in the form of just wanted to control their own resources and wealth. We could not have that. This has been a long time coming, and it's terrible.
So Trump is not playing their game. He's really upsetting a lot of warmongers right now in Washington, D.C., and I am there for it. I hope we do not have any further involvement in Syria, and I hope that we do see a ceasefire in Ukraine very, very soon.
Well, the New York Police Department has released this name of a suspect they have in the killing of the UnitedHealthcare CEO, Brian Thompson. He is 26-year-old Luigi Mangione. He's a former University of Pennsylvania computer science student and a person of interest in the fatal shooting. Are you surprised that he seems to be, by early reports, a far left-wing activist who posts anti-capitalist and climate change messages? That is
not shocking.
No, that's Bolshevik. That's what we have. But again, we've encouraged this. We want a Maoist society where we take matters into our own hands.
But to be fair, he's also posted things in favor of Peter Thiel and things like that. So, I mean, we'll have to sift through all of this. But, you know, if he's posting like stuff that he loves, the Unabomber,
right,
and he loves like climate change agenda, and he had all sorts of writings and readings about like the healthcare industry and things like that. Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised.
Okay. And again, these are early reports. He's been a suspect for hours. So this narrative very well could change. But this is what we know right now, is that he was apprehended at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, after an employee recognized him and said he was acting suspicious. He then alerted police, and police grabbed him. At the time of his arrest, he was found in possession of a 9mm Ghost gun with a silencer, multiple fake IDs, a manifesto critical of the healthcare industry. So they believe that this is then the same gun that was used in the murder after Thompson was found shot outside a New York Midtown Manhattan hotel where he was attending an investors conference. The masked assailant fled the scene on a bicycle, and investigators believe that he, Mangione, harbored anti-capitalist sentiments and held a personal grudge against the medical community due to the treatment of sick relatives. Internet sleuths have found this from his X profile, which currently is still up. Here you can see all kinds of the things that he posted. Surprising that this has not been taken down yet. But again, the sort of anti-communist rhetoric has an effect on people. We will see. Go ahead.
Notice here, too, the people that are following him. They're Barry Weiss. There were people, and I don't know how soon or how quickly they started following him, or if they were following him for a while. But people so you have journalist Barry Weiss and others who were following him. Mm-hmm. And he has 34,000 or 31,000 followers. So okay, interesting, right? Interesting that some of these people were already following him, or maybe they started following him this morning. Who knows exactly? But I thought that was curious.
Yeah, we're posting Jonathan Haidt, the free speech author. And so, okay, we'll see. And again, he did quote the Unabomber, Ted Kaczynski. He did have no prior criminal record, as far as we know, and authorities are coordinating with Pennsylvania officials to extradite him to face potential murder charges. Also, there is some reporting on Fox News today that he's related to a congressional representative in, I believe, either Maryland. I'm not quite sure. So we're going to see as this unfolds, this story. I think that also, this is not me talking. This is the algorithm talking. I think that he will be a popular story throughout the next couple of months. One, because it's an anti-capitalist story of revenge that is reminiscent of Gotham City, right? Also, he's handsome. And so that's what people are saying online. We will see him more because he's young and handsome. Again, this is not me saying this. This is the algorithm. Instagrams.
Well, you've seen
about this.
Yeah, and you've seen, of course, the left-wing support of this guy. There was protests where people were wearing like defend, the three word saying that was apparently found on the shell casings.
Oh, defend, deny, something like that.
So they protest, people dressing up this weekend as the shooter, wearing similar clothing, putting on the mask
in New York City, right.
Promoting this type of behavior.
Redacted is sponsored by American Financing, and this is a great time to learn about what they do. What they do is help you try and leverage your assets like wealthy people. So if you're a homeowner and you're in over your head when it comes to finances, especially as the holidays are here and you're thinking about, am I going to provide my family a Christmas based on my credit cards at high interest rates? Well, that's not how wealthy people live. They learn to leverage their assets in order to free up cash. So they can teach you this. And in fact, they save homeowners just like you an average of $800 a month. So think about how that money could help your family. And if you start today, you may even be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. That gives you extra breathing room, extra holiday funds going into the new year. And it costs absolutely nothing to just learn this. Find out how much you can save and then learn to evaluate it. Again, this is just a trick that you're not taught in school, but that wealthy people figure out for themselves. Take some new financial tactic, learn it, see if it works for you, and let them teach you. You can call them at 866-890-8434 or head on over to americanfinancing.net/redacted. One more time, that's americanfinancing.net/redacted.
Well, Democrats are calling on President Biden to pardon all illegal immigrants in the United States. I've been hearing about this, and I thought, oh my God, are we going to actually see this happen? And then sure enough, The Nation publishes this piece. Chris Lehman writes a piece at The Nation. President Biden should issue a blanket pardon of all undocumented immigrants. And he says Democrats should, go after these people. They're his most vulnerable targets. So they're the most vulnerable targets is the illegal immigrants. He goes on here and he talks about how, Trump is clearly going to come back and inflict legal vengeance on detractors like Dr. Fauci and others. So they got to get out there and get these sort of pardons ahead of time. Otherwise, Trump's going to go after them. But he says, let me float a modest proposal. Modest. To redeem the use of the pardon power, Biden should disperse it far and wide. Obvious use of it would yield robust moral and political benefits, which would be to grant a preemptive pardon to undocumented and documented immigrants now facing the prospect of indiscriminate mass deportation when Trump takes office next month. So special care should be taken to include the illegal recipients of temporary protected status, such as the Haitian community in Springfield, Ohio, who relentlessly were demonized by the Trump campaign. Eat the cats, all of that. The article just goes on, but he said basically this is a moral case for a mass preemptive pardon. But then he also admits, quite honestly, and I'm surprised, he says there's the moral piece of this and then there's the political piece of this for Democrats. He blames the Kamala Harris campaign for a disastrous immigration stance during her campaign. So the moral stance is protect all of these millions of illegal immigrants, give them pardons and protect them in the United States. And then, of course, the political side of it is it would help Democrats. He admits openly this would be unbelievable boon for Democrats in the next election. They're all given total pardon power and protected, and then perfect Democratic voters in 2025, 2026, and beyond. This is an unbelievable, it's an unbelievable plan.
It's stupid. That's what it is. For a couple of reasons. One, you have to name people. You can't just say a racial group of people. 2, it's for past crimes, so that immigrants who would remain in the country would be able to be prosecuted on the crimes tomorrow.
Well, also, but like dumb. People who've come across the border, that is a past crime. So they're here illegally. That is, by all accounts, they're admitting it's a crime. That's right. The other part of it is he's admitting it's a crime.
Tomorrow, they're still illegally in the country. So they could say, okay, yesterday was fine, today's not. Also, Joe Biden tried this. He put in place a proposal under which local authorities could decide if people who had been here illegally could stay depending on their criminal record and such. And that was rejected by Congress. So already the law has rejected this. So that's the dumbest flipping thing. Go ahead, Philip.
Well, but the thing is, they're not citizens. How can the U.S. president pardon that? I could see where the president could just choose not to prosecute, but how can you pardon somebody that's not a citizen? He's not their president. Like, how
Yeah,
does
that's
that work?
also a good point. Yeah.
Don't get in the weeds, Philip, with technicalities and facts.
Oh, sorry.
But we gotta. That's
overthink.
what. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but so let us know what you think about that in the comments. I think we gotta, if you guys people are saying it's stupid. I mean, absolutely stupid. Cosmic Sofa says as soon as they are pardoned, they want to close the border. So yeah, I guess you close the border, you'd pardon them and just totally seal up the border.
Yeah.
So you have tens of millions of new Democratic voters in the United States.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Daniel Penny was filmed leaving a bar today, having a beer after he was acquitted of murder charges in the death of Jordan Neely. Now, the 26-year-old Marine had his beer, celebratory beer, with his his defense team after leaving the courthouse where the jury did acquit him of criminally negligent homicide. Last Friday, the jury had said they could not reach a verdict in the manslaughter charge, so the judge told them, "We'll just then move down the list." It seemed like it was not a good sign that the judge said, well, then, okay, we'll release this one. You move on to criminally negligent homicide, as if the judge was looking for a conviction. That was what it felt like. But then early in the day on Monday, the jury came back and said, no, we find him not guilty of this. His defense had many people. The defense had presented many people who were on that subway car saying they were terrified of Jordan Neely. One woman had a stroller and had sort of turned her baby away. And she said she thought for sure she was going to die and she was in fear for her child. New York City Mayor Adams had spoken out in support of Daniel Penny, saying the city failed Jordan Neely by repeatedly letting him out, letting him harbor this addiction, threaten people, continue to hurt people, and that this was not the failure of Daniel Penny, it was a failure of the city. Trial evidence again revealed that Neely...
Hold on. It wasn't just a failure of the city. It was a failure of his family. Like, well, you
want to be careful with that because
Why?
A lot of people get hooked on the opioid crisis is not necessarily the failure of people's families. People are trying all the time to get their kids clean, and the city will continue to pump drugs into... I see this in San Francisco all the time. We had a woman on this show whose own son had got hooked on fentanyl at a party, one pill, and then she just could never reach him again. Remember the woman who tried to tattoo?
But I'm saying when you're an absentee father and you're not involved in your child's life.
Again, we don't know the circumstances of this family, so let's not blame all families for addicts. That's a dangerous thing to say.
This family.
Well, what do you know about this family? Go ahead and tell me.
Well, I do know that we know about his father, who's suddenly now speaking out and suddenly showing an interest in Jordan Neely's life.
But we don't know what he had done before to keep his son home. And again, we see these addicts who they escape their families, that even the best ones that are trying to help them, right? So we don't know that. So let's be careful about blaming addicts, families for, but you make a point about, okay, let's leave that for a second because we are going to get to the family. What we're talking about now is that he had synthetic marijuana, K2, in his system, and that was found in the autopsy. Now, of course, Black Lives Matter, what's left of it, does want an uprising in the wake of this verdict. Here is a Black Lives Matter speaker, Walter Hawk Newsom, calling for now black vigilantes to stand up in response to this.
How can you preach love to racists? That got Dr. King killed. How can you promote love to a nation that is built on theft and genocide?
That's right.
What we preach is unity, black unity. Stop begging this system to justify our lives. Stop begging this system for justice. When things happen to you, you step up and defend yourself. Just like everybody else seeks justice on their own, just like everybody else has vigilantes, we need some black vigilantes.
That's right.
People want to jump up and choke us and kill us for being loud. How about we do the same when they attempt to oppress us? I'm tired.
Okay. So not all black people feel this way. Clearly, this is just what's left of the Black Lives Matter movement. You can see it's not even a major fundraiser anymore. Here's a popular TikToker named Anti-Liberal Club saying, Why are black people justifying bad behavior? Daniel Penny is a hero. Watch.
So Daniel Penny was found not guilty today. And what does that mean? That means he's a free man. The Marine, ex-Marine, did what he had to do that day on the train. I don't care what none of these New Yorkers and BLM members say. They always, you ever see they always justify bad behavior from criminals? The man was arrested 40 times. He was not a value to society. Penny, valuable to society. Potentially protecting thousands of people on that train that day from being harassed by taking care of the threat. Yo, salute to Daniel Penny. I pray he sues the state of New York for racism and hatred towards American citizens living their lives. Daniel Penny, not George Floyd, Daniel Penny needs to have a statue built in his honor. Daniel Penny eradicated this world of someone that just didn't want to be a valuable member of it. I have no problem with what Daniel Penny did. Daniel Penny, American hero of the day. Salute to him and his lawyers for getting him off. He's a free man today.
All right. Now, of course, it sounds harsh. He's saying Jordan Neely had no value to society. But I do think, obviously, people say, well, he was Michael Jackson dancer. He gave us some entertainment, right? The city, of course, we're talking about personal responsibility. The man was high. He was a drug addict. He was threatening innocent people. And the city did frame Daniel Penny for being white, and in fact allowed that to be a major part of his trial by calling him the white man repeatedly after a witness called him the white man. So here we have a pendulum swing here where a black man is speaking out on behalf of the racism experienced of a white man. So that's interesting to observe, right? That's what we're observing right now. Daniel Penny, though, Clayton's right, will still face a civil trial from Jordan Neely's father. And yes, we are owed answers to where were you before, sir, when you were trying to help your son who was an addict and homeless? Was that the case? Actually, I don't think we should blame all families for the actions of their of addicts and criminals. Absolutely not. But sure, if you're going to sue and come into court and say, then present that what was done to help this person before.
Yeah, because I mean, if he's 18 years old, he's an adult, right? At the end of the day,
yeah,
he's an adult. He's on his own. But is this father just an opportunist looking for money? We
should know this because he is in fact seeking monetary damages from Jordan Neely now, who, from Daniel Penny. I'm sorry, the names are too similar and I get them confused. Because he's saying, I lost my son. He is now seeking monetary charges, but now Penny's been acquitted. So will that be a hard trial for him to face? The father was reportedly in the courtroom today when Penny was acquitted. There was reportedly clapping in the courtroom, and the father yelled, "You clapping when my son got effing killed?" And court officers quickly moved in and said, "Out, you're out." That was a direct quote. And again, given that now he was acquitted of those charges, that will be a hard case for the Neely family seeking monetary damages. So we'll keep an eye on that. Now, there's a similar case in Germany that's now under investigation. I just wanted to flag this for you. A woman in Germany was stabbed in a train station after a man grabbed her butt and reportedly her arm. The details are a bit unclear right now. Some reports say she followed him after he had let go of said butt and then stabbed him just once in the heart and he died. Other reports say he grabbed hold of her and wouldn't let go. What is not contested is that the butt was grabbed, a knife was pulled out, and she stabbed him once and in the heart, and he died. So we'll see if Germany has a similar trial and case like this.
Do you ever have the feeling that you're being surveilled and hesitate to share things of interest via text messages or emails with your friends and loved ones? Well, recently, outspoken parents at a PTA meeting and Catholic Americans have been labeled as domestic terrorists by the FBI. These types of labels can be used to allow the U.S. government to surveil its citizens and others who live abroad without legal due process. Fortunately, the founders of Bunker have created an app to uphold people's rights. Bunker is not beholden to any third-party corporation, investor, or government. Bunker deeply believes that privacy is a human right and that everyone on Earth deserves bank-level security. Bunker provides you protection from state and corporate surveillance as well as cyber criminals. It includes a completely secure and private messenger, a robust password manager, secure cloud storage for your files and documents. Bunker is built to uphold the rights of people and protect them from cyber crimes. Download Bunker from the App Store or the Google Play Store today. Use the offer code REDACTED to receive your first year free. Well, a lawsuit against Diddy has been refiled now to include Jay-Z, the husband of Beyonce, whose real name is Sean Carter. Many, of course, have been waiting for the Carters to be implicated in Diddy's sex and horror ring of power. Is this the first shoe to drop here? Well, the suit filed by an anonymous plaintiff claims that Jay-Z also raped her when she was 13 years old. And this happened after the VMA Awards. Now, we've heard of this case before. It revolves around accusations after the Video Music Awards back in the year 2000. The case originally mentioned Diddy and a male and a female celebrity who were unnamed at the time. It's curious why they were left out of this at the time.
Well, the lawyer says why. He goes on to, we're going to take a look at his statement. He says, originally we filed this anonymously and went to Jay-Z's lawyer. And we were going to allow him to remain anonymous because we wanted sort of off the books mediation. But it's Jay-Z who countersued us and sued us for. So let's take a look because the case we've talked about this before. Originally had male and female walk into the room while Diddy was doing the sexual assaulting. The male then took turns to do his own raping while the woman was there. We don't know who this woman is. Again, in 2000, Beyonce was not married to Jay-Z, so we don't know. Jennifer Lopez was Diddy's date at that awards show. Yeah. So could have been either of those ladies. We just don't know.
Or somebody else.
Yeah,
right?
It could have been somebody completely unrelated. We don't know, but what the lawsuit says is that person was famous. So who was around those dudes who was famous at the time? We're not accusing anybody, just so it's clear that it's not clear right now. Now, here's Jay-Z's statement in response to this. He claims that Tony Busby, which is the lawyer who's filed this, has a pattern of these type of theatrics and goes after celebrities for large settlements. He says he's not going to settle. He's not going to give one red penny. He says the real victims here is his family, his wife, because now they have to sit down their children and explain what they're going to go through. I would be surprised if his children had not already had inklings of this. His daughter, his oldest, is about to turn 13. And of course she knew that his dad is mentioned in this, in the wake of the Diddy accusations. Interestingly enough, she'll turn 13 in January. 13 is the age of the victim in this case, Disgusting. The plaintiff. So we must consider all 13-year-olds equally. We don't know, right? Okay, we're going to leave, again, innocent until proven guilty. These are claims. But yes, we should consider all 13-year-olds. Mr. Busby released his own statement saying his client is actually not seeking money. She sought a confidential mediation and that it was Jay-Z who sued him under a pseudonym a few weeks ago, saying that his firm sent a letter to his lawyer in behalf of the alleged victim. He says, since the letter, Mr. Carter has not only sued me, but tried to bully and harass me and this plaintiff. His conduct has had the opposite impact. The plaintiff, he says, is now emboldened and he's proud of her and that they're going to fight this out in the court and not in the media. Obviously, he thinks he has a case, but you have to wonder if he has proof, the government must have this proof too, right?
Right.
Why is this a civil case? Why is this not a criminal case?
Is it because it's past a statute of limitations now? I mean, 2000, that's 24 years ago. 24 years ago, and I think there's a statute of limitations on criminal, right? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't know if it's state to state or not, but...
Well, in New York, we know that the statute of limitations was removed in order for E. Jean Carroll to accuse Donald Trump. We know that. But that was a civil case. It never became a criminal case. So it's a good question. What is the statute of limitations for a civil case for sexual abuse of a minor? I don't think I don't know. And is there anything ongoing that the government would know? Will there be a criminal case and we're just waiting because this is playing out in an Epstein-esque way? We don't know.
Well, the United Kingdom doesn't want any white James Bonds anymore. We're not talking about movie casting directors, of course. Well, they're trying to turn the next James Bond black. That's been the goal, of course, for a while, or at least a person of color. Too many white James Bonds, so they've got to figure that out. But now we're talking actually about the UK intelligence agencies, the actual UK intelligence agencies. So James Bond cannot be white in real life, according to internship applications at the United Kingdom's MI5 and MI6 headquarters. So here's the headline. White British students not allowed to apply for security services internships. The British intelligence agencies have been accused of overt racism because their summer internship is only open to ethnic minorities from economically deprived backgrounds. So you can't be white. You absolutely can't be white. The ad says it's open only to black British, Asian or Asian British or mixed heritage, or members of other ethnic minority groups.
So again, maybe I'm overthinking this, but isn't like you want somebody that's not likely to be compromised, and so they shouldn't they try to avoid people that are financially destitute? I mean, that's something that police
right
recruiting, and they don't want people that have a bunch of debt, because they can be compromised, they can be bribed. Like that's
yes, or have drug addictions, right? You have to pass like strict drug addictions, and so in using any sorts of illicit drugs.
Yeah, no, they think that being disadvantaged is a virtue. Now that's. I don't understand how you make that case, but go on, because it gets even crazier. It talks about how candidates with white skin can only be other white, like Romani Gypsy, Scottish, or Irish travelers. So if you come in there and you're white, they're going to be like, wait just a minute.
So if I go to apply and
you got to be like Brad Pitt
like
in
wear
that
a gypsy outfit, like I roll in.
Not like in Babes in Toyland. It's like
okay.
It's like gypsy, like Brad Pitt in that movie. What's the movie where he's a gypsy?
Snatch.
I don't even know.
Thank you. Snatch. Yeah, like that. Okay.
So an Irish traveler. I'm just an Irish. I'm just a humble. I'm white. I'm just a humble Irish traveler. Can I apply for your spy internship program?
I guess so.
I wish if I were black, then I'd get right in. If I was Asian or mixed heritage, I'd get right in.
Also, you must specify class by saying that applicants must have grown up in a home where the main earner was either a tradesperson, a casual or service employee, or unemployed. What the hell? This is total bollocks, right?
What kind of spycraft is this? What kind of spycraft is their candidate going to be capable of? Like, I don't know. Stick out. You know, like where is our spy? Well, he's down at the pub.
He's an Irish traveler after all, so he's down. It's lunchtime. He's probably down. He's Scottish. He's down at the pub.
Okay, so at least a few politicians have spoken out against this, such as Chris Phelps, MP, who says this is morally wrong. We should actively encourage a wide range of applicants, excluding people based on skin color as racist. This criteria should be axed. White youngsters can suffer disadvantage too. That last line bothers me because, again, why are we saying disadvantage is a virtue? Like we're specifically looking for people. Like, for instance, Justice Department, we've seen in the United States that the Justice Department was looking for mental retardation in their hiring process. What are we doing here? What's the goal, guys? How about just being capable?
Just read J.D. Vance's book, Hillbilly Elegy, to know that there are a lot of white disadvantaged people out there. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but there are quite a few multi-millions of white disadvantaged people out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But again, why is that desirable to be a spy? I'm just wondering what kind of charity is MI6 now being James Bond is only for charity work? I'm so curious.
It's DEI.
Maybe it really it just foreshadows that the MI6 is out of money. And so they want people that know how that they can still survive with very little.
Right, but recently
twists.
Yeah. But recently there was this complaint that an MI6 A spokesperson recently told ABC News in Australia that they have a shortage of people even wanting to be a spy at all. This person explained it's because young people have, quote, the desire to not make the world a worse place. Which I love.
When you see what the CIA and the FBI have done to the United States, two of the most corrupt organizations,
we start wars around the world with disadvantaged countries. I don't think I want to do that, actually.
Can you walk into MI6 on a daily basis?
The most desperate kids.
So you walk into MI6 and you're like, I'm proud to be here. What have we done? What does MI6? Oh, we helped kill 1 million people in Iraq by creating false pretenses to lead us to war.
Yeah.
What else have we done? Oh, we've undermined Ukrainian peace process where hundreds of thousands of people could have survived and lived, but we pushed for war against Russia. Yeah, I'm happy to be here today. Mm-hmm. I'm happy to be here at MI6.
Right. So that's why, that seems like because they know they have a hiring crisis, they're just going to take the most disadvantaged kids and take advantage of them and make them they're basically making stormtroopers. Right?
Yeah.
It's like FN 2187. That's what's going on here. Let me know if you see it any other way.